There was an American clown, Wavy Gravy. I never heard of him, but he says, I come from the land of one thing after another. Yeah, we know that. So, the minute we get up in the morning out of bed, we go to bed at night, we're really tired. We've just gone in this flow, and it can't be helped. It's just the way the melody of life is right now. One thing flows into the next and the next. One thing after another. And what he says is the problem for us comes when we feel pressured by the sense that too many things are demanding to be done next. That pressure is amplified when we worry about negative events we imagine could happen in the future. So we get all compressed and tense. And the feeling, like when you're really happy about something, you just feel like you're connected with the sky and you're vast. You're it. And then when your day is like one thing after another, oh my God, hurry, hurry, hurry. Oh my God, I got 10 things to do now. I thought I was a multitasker, but I'm adding 2 more. So we get like that, and this made me really sad when I read this part. It says, we feel compressed and tense, constricted, as if there isn't enough room for us in our own life. We're not in there. We lose our quiet center in the compassionate spaciousness, which we are. We're scattered with our energy. We don't even know who our true self is. And in all of that mind chatter, there's so much demanding, judging, criticizing. So pausing is your reset button. And Purelias says, by pausing, I don't mean simply stopping what I'm doing and sitting quietly somewhere, although that is a very good tonic. Pausing as I experience it can be done right in the middle of the river. And it can be as brief as a single breath. And this is the important part. The length of a pause is not as important as its depth. So this gets you off the hook. If you thought you had to meditate for 1 hour, you don't. Maybe 10 minutes, So he has some interesting ways of pausing. I'm going to go over them kind of briefly. A few of them I know you guys do, and a few you will have never thought of. This one I am grateful for. Pausing self-talk. So a lot of the pressure we feel in our life comes from the dominance of our mind stream, our self-talk. And it's important to notice that there is someone who is talking there and someone who is listening. So self-talk has 2 partners. And no, you're not going schizophrenic. The one who's talking and the one who's listening. So we explain things to ourselves as if there were 2 of us. And it can be kind of muddy in there. So this is really a quick way to stop that. So to create a pause in the middle of self-talk, you won't believe how easy this is. You simply say to yourself, likely quietly inside, but you can shout it out, stop talking for 10 seconds. You might be amazed at how well that works, and Paramahansa Yogananda used to tell his mind to shut up. So it might not last very long, but 10 seconds or 15 is quite possible. And in that time, you can relax, take a breath, do nothing. So just to play, if you'll all close your eyes, maybe take a deep breath, maybe settle your energy down in your belly button area. Kind of draw in there. And you'll notice your mind's already looking for something to grab onto. But I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, and keep your eyes closed. And when I do, I want you to demand of yourself, stop talking for 10 seconds. It's 5 words, okay? And then I'm going to time us. We're going to see who can make it maybe till 15. Okay, everyone ready? Stop talking for 10 seconds. 1, 2, 3, go. Okay, you can bring your awareness back here and open your eyes. I did stretch it to 15 seconds. How many of you were able to stop your mind for those 15 seconds? How many for maybe halfway, which was maybe closer to 10? Okay, well, play with that at home. So this next one is pausing opinions. Opinions are points of view. They're less noticeable than self-talk because they're kind of like in the background and they flavor our mind stream. And a lot of times we don't even know that we are being pressured by our opinions because we simply assume that it's the truth of what's happening. One way to notice our points of view is to recognize when we're making judgments. Any judgment, you're expressing your point of view. And it might be a judgment about others, or what about this, like of yourself? I have no time for myself. Nobody else is helping. It's always like this. My life is a mess. You guys probably aren't that serious that you're aware of, but we all are at times. But when you spot that you are making a judgment, you invite yourself to pause before coming to any conclusion. So the certainty about it being true, just imagine that maybe it's not. And that probably reminds you of a very good teacher's work. You know what name, what person I might be talking about? Byron Katie in the work. So you just, when you notice you've made a judgment or something, just like, well, what if that isn't true? That's going to give you 10 seconds at least right there. And you don't argue with yourself about it. Just allow the space and the idea that, well, maybe it isn't true. So you can pause, you can relax. Now this is one that I really wish I would have thought more or known about already a couple times this year. Pausing before you snap back. So when we feel pressured by events, people's demands on us, we feel misunderstood. It's easy to get irritable. So the goal in this pause is notice how irritability feels in your body. when you're conversing with anyone, always know what's going on in your body and your feelings. Not so much your thoughts, but know kind of where you're at. So when you feel that irritability rise, don't open your mouth. Because if you send out something as a reaction, words you wish you hadn't spoken, like an arrow, you can't draw them back. And if you're not familiar with the way irritability feels in your life, maybe ask your spouse, maybe not on Father's Day, but say, honey, for CTC we're doing this experiment and I need to feel irritability in my body. Will you please say that thing you always do that, it really pisses me off? We enlist our family in these things, so.
They'll be glad to help.
Yeah. There you go. Now this one, I know probably most of you do. Pausing when you wake. But a true pause, now we do need times, and also going to sleep. We do need times when we're kind of between worlds. We picture our ideal lives. We picture our ideal person we want to be. We send blessings where we know they need to go. But rather than that kind of a doing, I would ask just pause and be grateful. Feel gratitude. You don't need to list them all off. Maybe you did that the night before in a gratitude journal, but just feel it, the feeling of gratitude. And bless everyone. Bless everything. I have so many friends that have cancer. I used to try to individually send them blessings. The world's suffering. So just lay there, feel gratitude, and bless. So that's a morning pause. Now this one is really interesting. You probably haven't thought of this one. There are 2 articles in the beginning of the book about asking questions. I mean, we need to ask a lot of questions about, our beliefs and things. But sometimes you want to ask a question that just travels with you. There's no answer to it. You'll never find an answer to that. But you love this question, and so you travel with it. So this is kind of like that way of asking, pausing by asking. So Pirlias says, a humble question creates a pause. And questions like these: what's happening now? What am I doing? What am I feeling? So the question doesn't presume an answer. You can say, what's happening now? And the mind just sails right off without a clue. And so for a moment, the mind is suspended in a healing pause. And this is one that you are maybe familiar with, if you're familiar with Heart Math. They did donate like a whole chapter in the book. And so we experience our awareness usually in our head, like behind our eyes. But I want to do something with you just for a minute or two here called pausing in your heart. So if you will close your eyes, take a deep breath, and this time focus on your heart. Maybe put one hand there or two. This lovely miracle. This place with no words, this caring and warm, so warm place. So while you are there, imagine the life force, chi, universal energy, love, Just imagine this light coming into your heart, going out of your heart. Keep breathing regularly, but just imagine this extra boost of energy enlivening your heart, breathing through your heart. And now think of someone that you really, really love. It could be a person, an animal, or a place you've been recently that was so amazing, some circumstance in your life, something you care deeply about. Bring that to your heart. And feel grateful. Feel grateful for that person or experience. How wonderful it is that you have that connection. That's what makes life worth living, these kinds of moments. So you can rest there. At another time, do this. And you can open your eyes for now. And when HeartMath experiments with this, it's called the coherence technique. And it's basically getting our minds and our hearts together. And they have the big graphs and the electrocardiograms they put on your brain. And so normally that will show on that graph, like in the normal part of our day, it'll go like this. I mean, that's what we're going through. However, just that simple technique of breathing through your heart, recalling someone you love or a situation, feeling grateful, so appreciative. You pause there, and that electrocardiogram will just be the most beautiful little river, just do-do-do-do-do. So you can put yourself in that coherent state. This one I know you also do, because we live in paradise. Pausing in nature's presence. Yes. And I was so blessed this last week. I had really a busy week, all through the week, and 2 events this weekend. So what was I doing? But I got a one night stay in Elkmont Campground, go see the fireflies. So I packed up. It's like, okay, I'm going on a 24-hour be in nature break. And every moment I'm driving for 2 hours, and I'm walking for an hour, and I'm sitting for 4 hours and driving. I am going to not think of nothing but be there. And I swear, I hadn't been in a few years, but if you imagine you're in a dark, dark forest with a few hundred people, and all of a sudden, this wall in front of you, like 50 foot high, and a quarter mile on each side, just lights up with lights blinking. And you're just going like, whoa. And then it gets dark. Then it comes on again. And I swear, a few hundred people just in my area, nobody was talking. It's mostly adults, some kids, because it's pretty late, 9:30 till 11:30. But we were in awe. We had no words. We were just pausing in our own natural state. So it unites your animal nature with the living world. We get so up here. So pausing in nature. And Oprah says something about this. Who doesn't want to know what Oprah has to say? She has an article in her magazine called Pick Up the Day Strategies. And now this one, I bet no one here has done this one. But I'm going to do it as soon as I get to like Walmart or something. How many have done bubble meditation? Bubble meditation. Oh, thank you, Oprah. Bubble meditation, she says, blowing the perfect bubble or in my case, probably any bubble, requires bringing your attention to your breath and placing it in the space of the present moment. Being fully present automatically lifts your spirits, clears your mind of distractions, brings clarity, and even some joy if you're open to it. So get yourself some bubbles. And she says, blowing bubbles reminds me of happiness. It makes me think of lying flat on my back, on a bed of grass, taking in the sky. So there's sky meditation. Get your blanket, go outside, even for 10 minutes, maybe a pad, and just watch the sky. Actually see where those clouds are going. And then there is standing in a grove of trees, where you feel the branches below you and above you and the roots, everything. You just are in the trees. So tree meditation. You guys can all do that. Or hug one is better. So I'm coming to the last pausing here. And to me, this is where all pausing takes you, which, is another topic. Pausing in timeless awareness. The Indian sage Nisargadatta once advised a student who asked for guidance, go back, go back, go back to the place where you begin. Right now, the place of spacious awareness that hosts all the phenomena you experience. It's a simple move, although nothing really moves. Just open to the clearing you already are, and pause there for a moment or two. And your whole life will get refreshed. Wayne Dyer has a book called Getting in the Gap. Like the gap between two sentences, the gap between two words, the gap, the space between the musical notes, or we wouldn't hear the music. So all of these ways of pausing can give you relief throughout the day. I would, hope you would take one or two and play with them. And just to show you the power of the pause and how our focused attention, where the attention goes, energy flows. A real quick story. My grandson was 4, and we were on a walk through this meadow. And if you've been around 4-year-olds, you know that everything kind of comes out their mouths, in their heads, out their mouths. They fill up the space around them, and if you go and get in their energy field, it's like, you might get charged up. But anyway, so we're la-di-da through the meadow, and I noticed a flower, beautiful one. I thought I'd experiment. That's what grandkids are good for. So I said, James, come here and look at this flower. So he comes over, and I said, no, get down, really look at it. So he gets down there, and he's looking at it. And I swear, the entire universe was funneled through him in this awareness on this flower, and I'm standing behind him, and there's nothing in the atmosphere. It's so peaceful, It's like, wow. Of course, he did come back to his normal self and kept being himself. But anyways, so I hope you enjoyed playing with some of these ways of pausing, and that they will bring you some peace in your life and a little fun maybe. So thank you.